Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Patricia Perez, and I am AARP California's State President Emeritus. On behalf of AARP California, I welcome you to Let's Talk Dinero, our monthly series on financial security. This month, we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, which actually runs from September the 15th to October the 15th, by recognizing how we are unidos by our heritage. In addition to today's chat on debt management, we have a number of informational and fun events throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. Just visit aarp.org/CA for a full calendar of events. Now back to why we're here today. AARP research tells us that being debt-free is the top long-term financial goal for Latinos ages 35 and older. So we want to be debt-free is the #1 goal, followed by saving for emergencies, for retirement, for children's college funds, and leaving an inheritance for loved ones. But anyway, that's why today's topic is so important. We're going to learn how to manage debt and strategies to become debt-free. Leading our discussion tonight is Isabel Duron de Gallegos, a financial well-being coach for Operation Hope. Isabel is dedicated to offering credit and money management workshops and one-on-one counseling. Her mission is to provide adults and their families with foundational information on budgeting, savings, and credit report monitoring. Isabel is certified as a HUD homebuyer workshop counselor and has more than 20 years of experience working with nonprofit organizations that offer services to help communities who need education, counseling, and resources to help them reach their goals, which is pretty much all of us. We're thrilled to have Isabel here today to discuss strategies to improve our financial well-being. Bienvenida, Isabel. So now let me turn this over to you, and please tell us more about the work that you do as a financial well-being coach.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. I think I found the job that I love the most after all these 20 years. It really starts with the company I work for. Operation Hope has been around for 30 years, providing education, one-on-one counseling in 3 areas: credit and money management, home buyer education, and small business development. Each one reaches a goal for the person to have an investment in their life. First, we get them to improve their credit, to get that savings, to be able to get into a house, which is the best investment they can make, and also to start a small business that provides future income. And I really like the founder of the company, because he really invests a lot in the company and the employees. And he's constantly asking us to have that mission, that passion. All we want to do is reach out and reach as many people as we can and tell them, this is how it works. We can help you. Give us a chance. And that's what I love.
And that is wonderful. And really, all of us just want the chance, right? We all the things that you talked about. We want to be able to, buy a home, and we want to be able to, retire financially okay. We want to make sure that we're on top of everything, so we are not scammed, we're not taken advantage of. So all the things that you talked about are spot on what is important to all of us. But before we start actually, el mero mole of our discussion, I'm going to launch a poll to get to know a bit more about our audience today. Please, and Isabel touched on this, but how often do you check your credit scores? So I want to know from people, even if you don't understand credit, I'm sure you've heard about your credit scores. So just answer the poll. How often do you check your credit scores? Just feel free to answer any of those. We see people And Isabel is going to tell us seriously how seriously important, having good credit is for anything we want to do and how to protect it and build it. But let me know. Are you familiar with your credit score, what it is? No? All right. So we have, I'm going to end the poll and let's see. The numbers are once a year. The majority are once a year. They check their credit score. So Isabel, is that good? That once a year people check their credit scores?
No, it's free. You can do it more often than that. In fact, I don't know if you've heard of credit. I'm sorry, let me get that website. It's annualcreditreport.com. They started about, I'm going to say 20 years ago, after a complaint by clients that the credit bureaus were charging a fee to get your credit report, your own credit report. And they were saying, why do we have to pay for our own information? And so the government started, getting this website up. You can go now weekly. After the pandemic, they sent out a big announcement that once you can go to annual credit report once a year to get your free credit report, but now you can do it once a week. Of course, once a week is a little too much if it's a lot of time, but it's free. You can look at your credit report and it's good to know what's being reported. And that way you can keep track of your accounts.
Why, Isabel? Why is it good to know what's being reported?
Well, I always learn, I learned the hard way that if you don't know how much you owe, if you don't know when's the next payment, how are you gonna be successful? How are you gonna make decisions if something comes up like an opportunity? So you need to know what's going on, because I don't know if you've heard, but I constantly hear on the news there's always some kind of a hack, some kind of ransomware.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like, how do you protect everything? And so you have to keep track of that.
With ARP, we're very diligent and provide a lot of information to help people from becoming victims of scams and fraud. And I guess managing your credit report, just knowing what your credit report score is another way of knowing, how you're doing, financially. But the other thing is, very important, because if you want to establish credit, right? If you want to buy something, they're going to be checking your credit report.
Oh,
Is that right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And what are some of the agencies that manage the credit reports?
Actually, there's only 3 companies that create your file, that keeps track of all your credit that you take out. It's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. They're the only 3 companies that are around. In fact, they've been around for 80 years. They started doing business credit reports for the banks way back 80 years when we used to have small businesses. And now we do consumer accounts, but they're the only ones. If you've heard of Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, they say they give you your free credit report, but they get your credit reports from those 3 bureaus. So
yeah. You were saying that the annual credit report, and I think Adriana put it on the chat, right? So that would be the best place to get our credit scores, correct?
Not the score, the credit report.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the credit report, correct, the credit report.
The score was created by FICO. And then soon after that, there have been other companies that create a different scoring system, like Vantage. That's what Credit Karma uses, Vantage. Do you know who owns Vantage? Experian. Experian is one of the three bureaus that uses FICO, but now Experian owns Vantage Scoring. So they're double dipping.
So Isabel, you're saying that the first step, I guess, to managing our debt is to know our credit score.
You need
Get
to
our
know,
credit report, sorry, get our credit report.
right. You need to know what's on your credit report. You need to face your debt, your credit cards and your personal loans. When you make a payment, is it being registered? Is there anything else that's being on your credit report? Yeah, it's a very good idea.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And what would be the next step in terms of, let's say, managing debt, or what would the next recommendation?
Well, I always start with, what is it that you want? When I talk to a client, they go, I need some help. I need to fix my credit report. And I say, oh, no problem. I always want to know, what's your ultimate goal? Where do you want to get? And then we start talking about their life and what situations have come up. So, right now, everyone's struggling with the inflation. I'm sorry. Yeah, inflation, that it's hard to go to the grocery store and have a budget for that when, you find that the food is more expensive. But I always start with a budget. How much do you bring in? How much is your household expenses? And what's left over? And a lot of people are afraid of that. I don't know why. I wasn't afraid of not knowing my budget, but I knew I was missing something when I was younger. So I learned how to do budgeting, and it's really, again, you just have to know what comes in, what goes out, and where do you want to head to? Do you want to go on vacation? Is there an emergency? Do you need a car? You need to make decisions as we go along in life.
Yeah.
But how do we do that?
And many of us, I know that we feel like, no tenemos dinero, there's never enough, right? We never have enough money. But once you start, putting it down, then you start realizing, wow, okay, this is where I know my money is going. So some things we may need to cut back, some things we just need, at least it's good to know where our money really goes, right? So the best thing is having our financial goal, and then you write it down, and then you do your budget, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's not that scary. It's just, I tell the women when I do some of these classes in parents group, I go, you gotta control it. You be in control. You're the queen. You're giving out the money. So, just decide what's best for you, what's best for the kids. And then you make the decision. So, and then, start small, and then take big steps. So, how do all these people go on vacation? I remember when I was young, how do they do that? And I remember going into debt to go on vacation. That's how you do it, but you pay it off. And then the next year.
And the interesting thing also is that some of the people, joining us, some of the people watching us right now, they may remember those Christmas savings programs where that you would save little money for Christmas.
Yes.
I mean, it was a little bit at a time, but at the end, you had, when it came time to buying presents, you didn't go into debt. You didn't have to charge it on your credit card or anything like that.
I know, the Christmas club at banks.
Christmas
right?
club, yeah.
Oh,
I know it was small, but it got you thinking of saving and having your financial goals and planning. So that's really good. Which leads us to the next poll, and our next question that I want to ask people watching us is, how confident are you on your financial goals? So I guess the question is, how confident are you? Do you have one? All right, we have question 1 up right now, so we need the question 2. We need the question 2. Do you guys see the poll? Because what I'm seeing on my screen is question 1. But I want to conduct the poll on how confident are you on your financial goals? Maybe it's not working. Well, ni modo. Ni modo. We'll continue because I guess the question was whether you have, a financial budget and do you think you can, your goals are achievable. But Isabel, let's talk about debt. We're here to talk about, about debt. I know many people are afraid of debt, but can you let us know if there's any examples of any, any times when debt is actually good?
Well, speaking of home ownership, once you get up there and you're ready to buy a house, you get into a mortgage. And it's a mortgage that gives you back every year based on your tax refunds. Like I said before, buying a house is the best investment you can make in your life. And unfortunately, we all have to get a mortgage to buy a house because nobody runs around with 600,000 in their pocket. But we have a really nice program to explain the home ownership. There's a lot of great lenders out there. Our challenge right now is the interest rate. But once you get into a home, and one of the benefits of home ownership is that your mortgage carries an interest that you can write off on your tax returns. And also you pay property taxes along with your property insurance. But the property taxes, the property taxes can be written off also on your tax return. And that goes against your income, which lowers the bracket, and it gives you a refund in quite a few years. So not only is it building an investment and equity for you, it also gives you a little bit of a refund. So it kind of helps out when you want to paint your house.
Yeah. So having a mortgage is good. It helps you on your taxes and helps. And I guess also certain debt is also good to help build up your credit score, right?
Well, in order to get a mortgage, you have to have credit history. And yes, you do have to get into debt in order to create a credit history. The credit reports carry only credit cards and loans with fixed payments, whether it's a car loan, a student loan, personal loan, mortgage loan. Those are the two types that are on your credit report. And every time you apply for credit, well, I could explain later the scoring system, but building a credit history. In other words, you get a personal loan, or you get a fixed payment loan, or you get a credit card or 2 credit cards. And if you pay on time, over the years, you create a history of being able to get credit, which is very valuable for the creditor to see that, hey, you can get credit anytime because your score is really high, and you've been paying on time. So I'm telling a lot of folks that I meet here and help them out that your credit report has now become a profile of your character and personality. Before it was just information because we needed to know if you could do this or that, but now they're really looking at you as a character, your responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
So sometimes, getting into debt is good as long as it's managed correctly, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you need to have a history of, I guess, owing money, but making regular, consistent payments. So they know, like you're saying, your character. So your character is that you're responsible for your debt and you pay it off. And that helps, build your score.
Oh, yeah.
What, in your experience, what is the kind of debt that we should avoid?
Well, obviously, payday advances, speedy cash, payday advances. That's the worst thing that has ever been created on earth, in my opinion. Unfortunately, they cater to neighborhoods that are low income, where folks sometimes really need some cash right away to cover their emergencies. And unfortunately, they kind of get hooked on how easy it is to get cash. But the interest rates is outrageous. It could be up to 40 to 400%.
Close to being loan sharks, I think. I mean, that is extremely bad. So that would be like the worst kind.
Right.
You know, I even see, I remember when I started college, you know, way back then, but the minute you start college, the credit card companies start bombarding you with offers to get a credit card. So it's really important also to help young people understand, right, debt and interest rates and money management and everything you've been talking about.
Yeah, they take advantage of young students, making it too easy to get a credit card. And I don't know why they get a second credit card to pay off the first credit card, and that doesn't work. And then when they graduate, you know, they have all these collections and they're very angry.
Yeah. So other, you know, the bad debt to avoid, of course, is just being overwhelmed with credit cards. And if we can, never use one credit card to pay off another credit card, if possible.
Well, you know, a lot of folks don't do their research. There's too much propaganda on TV. There's always constant advertising on your telephone, all kinds of things to make it look beautiful, that, you know, you can just call and get a furniture right in your house, and or you can get a car, but like a vending machine. It's just too beautiful. So the other thing too is that a lot of people, and I'm guilty of that when I was very young. I wanted stuff. I didn't have cash like my mom. I would go shopping on a mall and I would have a card and she would have cash. And how do you do that, Mom? She says, because no compro como ti. Compras demasiado. Y gastas mucho.
Yeah. You know, and I don't know if anybody that's watching us, actually, if you have any questions, anybody who's watching us, please put them on the chat, ask any questions. I'm going to try to get Isabel to answer them, but also let me know if anybody remembers the concept of layaway. I mean, you know, when I was young, obviously I no credit cards who would give me any kind of credit, right? But stores would offer layaway. And I wouldn't have been able to afford, you know, anything if it hadn't been for those layaway plans. You know, and so anyway, I don't know if anybody remembers those concepts, even if they're still around.
I know.
All right, let's see. Yeah, Isabel, did you have a presentation you wanted to share, or you want us to go straight into the questions?
Well, I would like to share how the credit score is calculated, because when you look at your credit report, you'll realize the way it's being scored. Like sometimes you make a payment and you don't see your score go up. Why is that? And I just want to explain how it works, because nobody
go ahead.
explains. Nobody
Take it away,
explains.
Isabel. Yes, I know. And this is our time. Ask questions. And Isabel started by saying that that's the, you know, our credit scores are the fundamentals. So it's very important. And for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Patricia Perez, AARP California State President Emeritus, and we have Isabel Duran of Operation Hope. So Isabel, presentation mode. And take it away.
Oops.
¿Qué pasó, Isabel?
¿Qué pasó? Let me get the slideshow going.
No.
Okay, hold on. Can you see that? Do you see anything?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry. This computer is new to me, so bear with me. I just wanted to
Oh, I'm
tell
sorry.
you that we're located throughout United States and we have 250 coaches that can help you. So purpose of budget, you really need to know your numbers going in and going out in order to make decisions. So when you want to buy a Christmas present, you want to know if you have enough money and still pay the rent and the food. So I wanted to get to what I call is the heart and soul of scoring. Can you see this pie chart?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so FICO is the company that initiated the formula for scoring to activities pertaining to credit. For instance, when you apply for credit, your score goes down. When you get approved for credit, your score goes up. When you pay down debt, your score goes up. When you don't pay, your score goes down. So FICO does not want to share their formula. They want to charge you for a score. But we know there's 5 parts to the scoring system. The biggest part is payment history. That's 35% of your score. So I'm sure you know that you have to pay on time. When you get a loan or a credit card, they tell you the due date. And so if they tell you got to pay on the 15th, you got to have that payment registered by the 15th or pay a few days before, but just by the 15th. If you pass the 15th and pay on the 17th of the month, they're going to charge you a late fee. That's what all the creditors do, a late fee. And depending on the credit, it could be high or low. But that's extra money that comes out of your budget. Who pays for the late fee? You do. So you want to avoid that. Now, here's where FICO comes in. When you're late 30 days, that's when FICO comes in, takes off points off your score, and they put a 30-day late on your credit report, and it stays there for 7 years. So now your record shows you've been late. And FICO, takes down points depending on the credit. So if you have a Target or Walmart credit card and you're 30 days late, they're going to take off 5 to 10 points. If you're late on American Express or Visa or MasterCard, it's 10 to 15 points. If you're 30 days late on a car loan, it's 20 to 25 points. If you're late on a mortgage payment, it's 40 to 60 points they take off your score. That hurts. So you got to pay on time is the most important part of your credit scoring. The other part is debt utilization. How do you handle a loan and a credit card debt? So it could be a personal loan, car loan, student loan, mortgage loan. You have to make the payment on time. How are you handling that? And then with credit cards, it's a different strategy. With a personal loan or other loans with fixed payments, they tell you right away you've been approved for a $5,000 personal loan. Your interest rate is 6%. Your payment's $300. You got to pay on the 15th. They already tell you that. But with a credit card, they mail you the information. They tell you in the mail, congratulations, here's your credit card. Your credit limit's $1,000, and have fun. So when you charge on the credit card, they send you the bill and they'll tell you you can pay with a minimum payment. That's what all the credit card companies are doing now, minimum payment, because they want you to have a balance for the second and third month so they can charge interest rates. That's another money out of your budget. So with a credit card, the strategy is to not use the whole credit limit. Use less than 50%. And that way your score will go up. And when you make a regular payment and pay it down, your score goes up. Now, here's where the strategy is where you can raise your score quickly. The credit limit on your credit card is very valuable now. So when you pay off your credit card, don't close the account. Keep it active because you need that credit limit. If you have a second credit card with a credit limit, pay it down and just make sure you pay on time, pay it down. Because if you have credit limits of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and your balance is 100, 200, 300, your score is going to go up. I don't know how far, how fast, but it depends on your credit history and your credit report. But I've seen people with 2 credit cards and 1 loan where the credit cards are at 5,000 credit limit, 6,000, and their balance is 200, and they're up at 800 score, 800 points score. That's simple. Okay.
Perfect.
That's how you get there. The
Yeah.
other parts are how long you've had credit history gives you points. Account diversity is having a mixture of credit cards and loans with fixed payments. And then the yellow one is the only thing that's negative. So you have to watch this out. Every time you apply for credit, whether you go to a bank, a gas station, a clothing store, a food store, and you want credit at Walmart, and they pull your credit report to see if you qualify, it's a hard pull. When they look and they're going to give you credit, it's a hard pull. They take 2 to 4 points off your score. So try to plan when you're wanting another credit card or a loan, plan it out. You know, will I be able to handle the points system? Will I be able to make the payments? Because you're going to call and find out what's the payment on the loan.
Isabel, do you have,
something?
I'm sorry, do you have many more slides? Because we have some questions coming in. So I just want to make sure we have enough time for your presentation so we can get to the
this
questions.
is the most important part, really. The other stuff is just information on how long negative items stay on your credit report, you know, how to work out.
Well, we actually did have a question that somebody asked that they froze their credit score due to fraud activity. Will that impact the credit score long term? Do you have something to answer that?
So she had identity theft?
Yeah, some fraud. Yes, correct. And
Okay.
so she wants to know how long it's going to impact her credit.
Well, if she put a freeze on it, that means no one can look at her credit report. Even I, as a credit counselor, I pull credit reports and it's a soft pull. When I pull someone with a credit freeze, it just gives me a page that says credit freeze, no information. So as long as she wants to keep the credit freeze, she can do that. When she wants to apply for credit, because they have to look at her credit report, she has to unfreeze it. And hopefully she has notated her profile, her password, the PIN number, all those secret things that she had to do to freeze it. She has to do that to unfreeze it.
But how long is that going to impact her credit score in the long term?
Well, personally, if she has open credit, she has to make payments on time. The debt system doesn't change. It's reporting to the credit report. And as long as she makes payments on time that she knows she has to, and that will improve her credit score. But we don't know until she unfreezes her credit report. So if she feels comfortable after a year or two, hopefully nobody else has tried anything else. I don't know if she lost her purse, if you lost your credit card, you know, you want to give it like a year or two.
So it takes that long to clean up your credit after fraud activity.
Well, you really can't do anything when it's frozen.
No, I understand. So she's just wondering, I know that it's frozen, but she just wanted to know how long it would take, you know, for her to clean up her score in the long term.
without a freeze, let's say she wants to clean up the credit report, it's just fine. It's just seeing what is it that she has to pay off. If there's collections on the accounts, there's nothing else you can do other than pay it down. I
Mhm.
help people with collections by doing a three-way call and calling the collection agency and asking for a discount. And because we've had a pandemic. So if they can get like 20% off or 30 or 40% off and pay in 2 months, then she can pay off the collection, and that will improve her credit score. But it's a matter of, what her budget is. What does she have to pay on her budget?
Perfect. Do you want to stop sharing your screen?
Sure.
Yeah, and then we can start going into the questions. Because someone wrote that
Oh.
a question that they're concerned about debt when they're ready to retire in a few years. What advice do you have for somebody who's getting ready to retire in a couple of years regarding, debt management?
That's the last thing you want to have is debt as you retire. It's just ease of mind not having debt. Have a credit card and just, you want to go out to have dinner when you retire because you can do anything you want. And as long as you can pay off the credit report, the credit card. I've talked to one or two persons who were really needing someone to help them read the credit report. Sometimes help them, be able to write a letter saying they're disputing something on their credit report. Because sometimes when you're older, you get taken advantage of, and unfortunately, you need someone to help you. But as far as credit reports, if you can handle your credit report and just have one or two accounts, you never know when an emergency it comes up. You need to fix your car, or you need to fix your house. I always have plumbing problems, so I always need to have a little side pocket there for the plumbers. And just plan it, not have a lot of debt, because that will
Yeah.
take off all your Social Security money.
Yeah, so for those who are getting ready to retire, I guess it's following Isabel's advice. What she started with is developing a financial plan, so that way you know how much income you have and how much debt you have. Looking at the debt that you have, start paying off anything that has the highest interest. And it's really, paying off your debt is kind of like a strategy. Some people pay off the credit cards that have the smallest amount, so at least it looks good that you've paid something off. Others start, hitting those that have the highest interest rates. So the main thing is really develop your financial plan, see how much debt you have, see how much interest you pay on that debt, and start, chipping at that block. And you need to be, depending on how many years you have before retirement, you really, may need to be aggressive in trying to pay off some of that debt. But, as Isabel suggested, first was develop your, financial plan. Really, don't be afraid to really be real about that.
I see the chat. She received 2 letters from credit card companies that someone's trying to open a credit card.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the questions that are coming up. One of them is that what advice do you have on co-signing for children or grandchildren's credit cards?
Be careful. Co-signing. So the children have credit cards, or you want to have children to get credit cards?
Yeah, when young people, your daughter, your son, your grandchildren, sometimes they don't have any credit. Nobody's going to give them. Do you suggest people co-signing for their grandkids or their
No.
children?
It's almost like we have a policy of please don't co-sign, especially with mortgages. But I'm thinking, I'm glad my mother didn't co-sign for me, because I was just crazy, with money. Nothing stayed in my hands. If you have teenagers who are going to graduate from high school and they seem to understand numbers and they seem very responsible, you could say, I'll co-sign for you, but they have to be 18 years of age, is my
Yeah.
understanding. And
Yeah.
you can try with one credit card and
And
see how that works out.
And I think it also depends on your child or your grandchildren and
Oh, yeah.
and their character, like you were saying before, Isabel, and their character, right? If you know that they're responsible, they just need a little bit of help to get their own credit going. Uh, that's one thing. But if you really know that they have zero understanding of money management, that's a whole different story. So, if I guess if you co-sign, just be prepared to pay off that loan if things go south. So if you're willing to assume that responsibility, but your suggestion is try to avoid it if possible.
Yeah, to help them out. And then they graduate or they go to college and they're doing well, keeping track. Then have them, get their own credit card and then cut that one because you're responsible. And if you're looking for a car loan and your children just didn't pay on time, that's going to affect you.
Yeah. We have another question, Isabel. To increase or build up your credit score, is it better to pay off the credit balance all at once or to make payments?
It depends on the balance and your budget. If you went to Best Buy and you bought a $1,000 TV set, which you really don't need, can you pay off $1,000 and that's going to look good. But if you have to make them in payments, make them payments. But the thing to remember is when you buy a high priced item and you have to make payments, that means you're going to pay it in a few months. And just remember, every month they're adding interest to that balance. So think about that. How much can you afford? And maybe save a little bit or, just think about it. But maybe you do need that $1,000 credit limit that Best Buy will offer you. Maybe they'll throw in a dishwasher, make it 10,000, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I remember when I went to Target, for some reason I kept thinking I'm missing something. And I went to Target, I got approved for a $500 credit limit. And when I got the bill, I thought, okay, I went and bought $50, minimum payment $25. Okay, that's great. Go to the second page, that's all about privacy acts. Third page, I'm looking at the interest rate, 27%.
Ouch.
So if I pay $25 now, I'm gonna leave $25 the second month, and I gotta pay 27% interest rate. It's like, where's the savings? And
Yes.
you know that Target in Pico Rivera, they had a remodeling done. You know who paid for that? My interest.
Yeah. Yeah. So so Isabel, so the advice is to look at the credit cards, and it's better to pay it off if the interest is high, right? So the main thing is really just to watch the debt, along with building your credit score, though, which is important. But the main thing is not to assume that kind of debt, because otherwise you're just getting in the hole.
Yeah,
And
anything can happen, and it will hold you up.
Okay, we have another question, very similar about a car loan. That is it better to purchase a car with cash or to get a car loan and pay it off through payments?
Well, if you have cash.
They're just wondering what would help increase their credit score.
Oh, having the credit, having a loan. But you need to really do some really good research as to who has a good car deal. And as much as I shouldn't say this, but the credit unions have really good car deals as far as loans are concerned. You know, because you may need to save that cash for emergencies. You never know.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. The same thing, you started talking about, good debt versus bad debt and some debt that helps us. I mean, if you own a house, the interest rate is fairly low as compared to everything else. And it helps you on your taxes. And I know some people want to pay off the house
Mhm.
faster, but at the same time, when you're paying, 3.7% or something like that, like you were saying, you may need to save some of that money for emergencies or something else. Otherwise, you may have to get, in debt like you're right, to pay the plumber.
Oh, I tell you, there's been so many changes in our lives ever since the recession. I still remember the recession. Good
In
Lord,
2008 or something like that.
yes, yes, you had to find a job, any job, and so how do you keep up with your credit report? And then we have other issues, the climate issues, pandemics, viruses, and
Yeah.
good Lord, I'm afraid to eat meat because it's so expensive.
Yes.
I don't know
And
where the meat comes from anymore. We have a chain supply issue.
yeah,
So you always need a good basket of cash.
I know a little slush, but something, for
Yeah.
emergencies. And Isabel, in your experience, what are the biggest barriers for someone trying to better manage debt or manage their finance? What are the biggest barriers?
Well, the emergencies that come up that we don't expect, like the pandemic, a lot of people did not work. Well, they closed everything down. So it's basically a source of income. Then we had a rental moratorium that just blows us away. So as far as getting credit up, it's just having the patience with yourself to pay on time, save a dollar a week from your budget as much as you can, don't eat out as much, try to do things that will save you some money, but still have a good life. Be positive, but always be strong, and just be prepared for any kind of emergencies because we have them.
Yeah. Somebody submitted a question that would you recommend saving 10% of net income monthly? Do you think that's a good amount to save?
Personally, I think anything you can save, anything you can just stash away. I mean, it's so important to save. If you can do 10%, do it. Do it.
I know. And I know you started today by saying that the most important thing is for us to be honest with ourselves, right? To have that financial plan, having the financial goals. And all it is really seeing what our income is, seeing what all our expenses are, seeing our credit, just being real with ourselves, right? And it starts by, being honest, and then, having your goal. And that will tell you whether you need to do 10%, 20%, go for the big, whatever it is, right? It's based on your goal, what it is you want to do. If you just want to save for emergency, or if you want to take that European vacation or whatever, you were talking about before.
Europe.
I know. So you don't put them on credit cards, right? So you don't have to put it all.
I'm still saving to go to Mexico. Anyway, there's one other ingredient. Don't be afraid to sacrifice.
Oh, that's a tough one, Isabel. You're killing me. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
You just gotta just say, okay, I'm gonna have to sacrifice this to get this sometimes, okay?
Yes.
Well, most of the time you have to give up something. Like we don't go out. My husband and I do not go out because it's not in the budget. Just maybe once every other month, we'll go to Denny's.
Oh, man, you guys are, solid there, man. You're disciplined.
Well, because I had to buy a used car and
Okay.
I want to pay it off in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So, if you have your financial plan, if you know your goals, right? Your financial goals, what it is you want to save for, then you know, how much you need to save, the sacrifice that you need to make. And you were saying, right, that sometimes like you and your husband choose not to go out and eat so much. Sometimes the sacrifice is maybe telling your kids or your grandkids, sorry, but I cannot co-sign for you. I'm getting ready to retire. If anything happens, I cannot afford to pay that debt. So sometimes these are tough decisions people need to make.
I know people sometimes don't want to say they don't have money. I remember my mom when I was a little girl, like 5, and I wanted candy or something. She said, no, mija, I don't have any money. Oh, okay. I thought, okay, well, you don't have money. Okay, well, I'll try something else. I'll just, go run around the block.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
wasn't afraid to tell me, you know.
Yeah,
So,
no, you've got to be honest, and somebody just posted on the chat that credit cards offer 5% rebate on gasoline purchases, and anyway, that every little, try to maximize, of course, any kind of benefit that you get from credit cards, but like with everything else, check what that interest rate is and págalos, pay them off. So as you've heard, to our audience, there are, various programs that can be helpful as you plan to start your financial planning. As a reminder to our guests, there are many resources that can be found at Operation Hope website at operationhope.org. So operationhope.org. It is always recommended that you consult a professional that can help you based on your own individual situation and your future needs. And there it is. It's on the chat, operationhope.org. And in addition, there's plenty of AARP resources and information that can be found at aarp.org/retirement planning and at aarp.org/money. So once again, aarp.org/retirement planning or aarp.org/money. Isabel, any additional, points or tips that you want to offer?
regarding managing credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like helping people get, debt free, managing their credit, advice, from your experience, from what you've seen, clients come into Operation Hope.
Well, I know there's a lot of companies advertising on TV and the radio that they can fix your credit report really fast. So you call Lexington Law and they will send you a letter where you fill out your personal information. You give them authorization to pull your credit report and they tell you they can fix it, no problem. It's going to cost you $300 a month. Okay. There's other companies with different rates. And what they do is they collect your money because you're going to give them authorization to withdraw from your checking account. And they're going to start collecting every month until they have the amount to pay off the collection account. Meantime, they do dip into that money for their fees. Okay. So there's a lot of good companies, a lot of companies that a little more expensive, but you can do all that by yourself free. I can show you, no problem. We can negotiate, we can get settlements, no problem. So you could save money that way.
Oh, wonderful. And before we go, somebody had the question, where should I go for better financial help? Should they go to an insurance agent, bank representative, other experts? So what you're saying is they can go to Operation Hope, right?
Financial help,
Yeah.
like I can
Yeah,
give
financial
the basics.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
you'd be one source, but what other places can people go to for,
Accounting?
Yeah, for financial advice, on money management.
Well, if you're not familiar with your own numbers, a good CPA can give you your numbers once you give them that information. A lot of people are afraid of numbers, and so they can organize it for you so they can tell you what you have, what you don't have. And then, there's always banks have money managers that can help you invest if you have enough investment. Actually, credit unions also have, managers that can help you with financial advice. I don't want to give financial advice as to where to invest because I'm not licensed, but we have people that do. But if you're wanting to know numbers and you want to know how to make more money with your money, well, there's just start from knowing what you have and then finding a CPA or a bank that is near you or your favorite bank. They always have some nice people there.
Yeah, and also I suggest going to the aarp.org website. They have a lot of information. They don't, recommend who to go to, but they tell you in a way steps, and they give websites of other sources and resources available to you. And at least it gets you going, and I love. Somebody just, Margarita, thank you so much, that she says she's grateful, reaffirming that, her way of life, and thinking that her husband calls her stingy, and she's really just thrifty. The same, actually, Margarita, you're not alone. My husband complains about that, to me as well, that, he's, and anyway, he resents every once in a while how frugal I am. But hey, gotta have my goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Isabel, thank you so much. Any final comments, Isabel? I want to let you, make sure that you cover everything that you want to say. Any other final comments before we end our session?
Well, I want to invite you to call me or email me. I just touched the heart of the credit scoring. There's some more things to understand what happens if you don't pay your collections, and just to avoid any kind of other problems. I can always give you free counseling.
Absolutely. And nothing is easy. Everything takes a little bit of work, including our securing our financial future. So,
yeah.
Special thanks to all of you for joining us today for our Let's Talk Dinero chat. We will continue collaborating with financial experts like Isabel across the state to talk about retirement planning, home ownership, and more. So please join us for our next Let's Talk Dinero on Monday, October the 10th. And we will be talking about home ownership. You can also visit our website at aarp.org/Let's Talk Dinero to view our previous recordings. We were recording today, so you'll be able to, watch it later, and you can see others that you may have missed. And you can also see the upcoming events. Once again, at aarp.org, Let's Talk Dinero. I want to give a heartfelt gracias to Isabel for joining us and providing such great information and sharing her expertise with us. Reaffirming what we already knew and giving us, some advice we didn't want to hear, but it necessary. But we have come to the end of our session today. Mil gracias for joining us, and we hope you found this information helpful, as you build your financial future. Y nos vemos a la próxima, el 10 de octubre. Buenas noches. See you October the 10th. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you so much and your organization. I'm going to find that money at aarp.org, right?